Claro que se puede, sé fuerte y lo lograrás. Con fe las cosas suceden, no te me quedes atrás. Los comentarios negativos no le prestes oído y sin parar sigue hacia adelante. Eso que me das, si perseveras, llegará en cualquier instante. Dilo conmigo,
Sí se puede,
no te quites,
sí se puede,
vamos pa' encima.
sí se puede,
Claro que sí,
sí se puede,
dilo conmigo,
sí se puede,
no te quites,
sí se puede,
vamos pa' encima.
sí se puede,
Claro que sí,
sí se puede,
Sí se puede. Deja que lo malo al viento se lo lleve. Que el amor de Dios tu corazón lo llene. Con la ayuda del Creador todo se puede. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Deja que lo malo al viento se lo lleve. Que el amor de Dios tu corazón lo llene. Con la ayuda del Creador todo se puede.
en la vida siempre va a haber gente que te va a decir que no se puede. Pero ¿sabes qué? Escucha, claro que se puede. Ya, Manny Montes, Alex Zurdo, Línea de Fuego, Chuelo, Caldetronic y los legendarios.
All right, sí se puede. Sí se puede. Okay, buenas tardes a todos and welcome back. Welcome, welcome, bienvenidos. Welcome, especially for those students who are here for the very first time. Let me see if we have anyone here for the very first time. Anybody? Just indicate with a raised hand. Una persona. Okay, Brian. I see Brian. I see Tashidi, Nathan, Karima, Jessica. I'm seeing, yep, I'm seeing those students. And a few others. All right, so we have just a few new persons, brand new persons online. Welcome to you, especially bienvenidos. Let me reintroduce myself. My name is Ramonia Hamilton, Education Officer for Spanish in the Ministry of Education, Jamaica. Mi nombre es Ramonia Hamilton, soy la funcionaria nacional de español en el Ministerio de Educación y Juventud en Jamaica. I hope everybody is well. Espero que todo el mundo se encuentre muy bien. Bienvenidos a otra sesión de práctica para el examen oral de español CSEC. Muchísimas felicidades a todos los estudiantes que estuvieron en la sesión esta mañana por su esfuerzo, por su participación. You know, congrats students, you know, we're bigging you up, especially those of you who were here this morning, and not just this morning, but the past 3 sessions that we've had. And you have really been participating, and we want for you to keep that going, especially when you get to your breakout rooms. So this is our final workshop for the CSEC oral exams. And for those of you who are not aware, this is an initiative of the Ministry of Education in Jamaica with the support of the Teachers Colleges of Jamaica, the National Association of Spanish Teachers of Jamaica, and the Spanish Jamaican Foundation. So we want to especially recognize our partners and our stakeholders again, and of course, our valued teachers, our what we refer to in the ministry in our foreign languages section as our héroes. You know, we have heroes, you the students as well, but our teachers who lead you, you know, so we want to especially recognize our teachers and our facilitators as well, We have facilitators who have been with us from yesterday, all day yesterday, and they're back here today. And we have, I don't think we have any person. Yes, we have some new facilitators who are on this afternoon, and I want to especially recognize all of them. So I'm going to allow you, I'm going to ask you to permit me to just acknowledge our facilitators. Well, our lead facilitator today is our education officer, Professor Errol Horton, and I'll be telling you some more about him. So I want to especially acknowledge him as well. And I want to acknowledge our president, Nerik, of the Association of Spanish Teachers. And in her absence, Professor Malby Saranda, who is the head of the Modern Languages Board of the Teachers Colleges of Jamaica. And in her absence, Vanessa Megu, who is the manager of the Spanish Jamaican Foundation. Our facilitators for the day, for this afternoon, are Professora Maite Diaz Martinez, Professor Dave Foster, Professor Shania Gale Lawrence, Jordan Cranston, Paula Lee McKenzie, Professor Kitson. I know that you will be assisting as best as you can, even with your situation going on with your connection. Professor Denisha Harrison, Brittany Brown, Yanette Montero Soto, Professora, Professor Michael Grizzle, Professor Kimoy, Professor Miriam Rosa Castillo Romano, and Professor Zori Atkinson, who are here. Have I missed any of our facilitators who are here? You can just feel free to greet us. Professor Jacqueline Porter, who will be on a little bit later if she's not here as yet. All right. So students, we always do a roll call. We know this. So if you are, we're going to allow the new students first. Just give us an idea what school you're from. Put the name of your school in the chat, please. And if your school is not a Jamaican school, write the country, write the name of the country right beside your school. Go right ahead. I'm seeing the boys' school of boys' school, Wolmer's Boys School, representing here. He taught at Wolmer's for a while. I'm seeing Campion and Glenmuir. I'm also seeing Holy Childhood and Very Technical. Awesome. I am seeing a school in St. Lucia. Esther, go ahead and pronounce the name of your school, please. From St. Lucia, go ahead and open your mic. I'm seeing Jose Marti, Harrison College, Kingston College. And I'm seeing also a school from Guyana, Jakia Watts. Please open your mic. Tell us the name of your school, because Ramonia does not want to pronounce it incorrectly. I'm seeing Green Pond High, Goodwill Secondary, William Nip. Go ahead.
It's Jakia, and I'm from Guyana, St. Stanislaus College. Yeah.
Un poquito más alto, por favor. No te escucho bien. No te escuché bien.
St. Stanislaus College.
Thank you so much. Muy bien. Marymount Cayman Academy. All right, students. Bigging up the names of your schools, bringing up your schools. And I know you're going to make excellent representation for your schools today with your high levels of participation. So I just want to reinforce our affirmations for the day. Remember that you are valuable, you are loved, and your life is a gift. You are a gift. Ustedes son valiosos, amados, y su vida es un regalo. Okay? Remember that as well. And remember that your exam and how you do on your exams does not define who you are. It doesn't make you less valuable. All right? You just do your best. And that is what is important. Okay? As simple and cliche as it might sound, believe me, guys, it is the most profound thing. All right? So remember this afternoon now, this afternoon is called Theme Fusion, mixed up. We're doing all the themes this afternoon. All the themes we're going to try to cover. And also, there are some things that I want to point you to before I hand over to Professor Errol. You have a number of resources already at your disposal. And there are some that I want to share with you specifically, right? The first one, let me just put the link for it in the chat. All right. Uh-oh. I keep doing this. Let me send it to everyone. Right. There it is. All right. You should be seeing that. That is right. So that is the link for a document known as the CSEC Cyber Study Guide. What is it? It is a study guide that was developed for CSEC students of Spanish by a team of CSEC Spanish teachers in Jamaica under the leadership of Professor Martha Corbett-Ball, who is the Senior Education Officer for Foreign Languages. And so this is a tool that you can use, students. It helps you to prepare for your exams, all the 3 papers. It is a combination of useful internet links as for each paper, and it has practical recommendations and strategies and tips that you can use to help you for each paper in the exam. And even for those of you who may not have internet access all the time, there's information for you there as well. So you can access that right away. This should help you not only for your oral exams, but for all 3 papers. And I want to thank the team of teachers, especially who would have led this initiative along with Professor Martha. And some of you are here today, and Professor Errol would have been one of our reviewers. We are really grateful, and we thank you for this tool for you students. Make good use of it. The other thing I want to tell you about is, I think Professor Megoo told you about, a ver, un momento. This event, which happens every Saturday, and it's free of cost. Spanish is at 3 to 4. I'm going to place a link in the chat, and it is hosted by the Kiwanis Club here in Jamaica, Division 25. And it happens every Saturday. You get your Saturday classes for Spanish. So really want you guys to make use of all of these resources, check them out. And we have some Spanish teachers from Jamaica who would have developed their own YouTube channels. And some of these YouTube channels, some of the videos, in particular, there's a particular teacher who has most of her videos talking about CSEC Spanish. So we have Professor Marsha Robinson Smith. That's the link for her channel. Professor Simonette Hibbert and Professor Yaliet de la Cruz Paul Morgan. And if there are any other facilitators, teachers, and students, if you know of any, yeah man, the math classes are free. All the classes for Kiwanis are free. So students, if you know any other, if you have any other links or resources, you can put them in the chat. Teachers, facilitators, you can put them in the chat. Kids, if students, if you have something that has been helping you, put them in the chat. Let's empower ourselves with all the resources that we can, so that, you know, we can improve. All right. Yes, I'm seeing Duolingo. Yes. That's a good app. That's a good app as well. Yes, students. So just make use of all that is there for you. All right. Now, Professor Errol, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Okay,
I want to just officially introduce you again, Profe. Professor Errol is Education Officer of the Ministry of Education and Youth in Region 7. and he is our chief examiner for CSEC Spanish Orals in Jamaica. So students, did you hear what I just said? He's our chief examiner for Spanish Orals in Jamaica. You are hearing from the top boss, okay? El Jefe. So listen carefully. So you know that it's coming from, you know, a very authoritative source. And this is amazing that he's here with us today. He has also served as education officer for Spanish in the Ministry of Education and Youth and president of the Association of Spanish Teachers for decades upon decades okay, Errol, I'm gonna stop now. But he has really dedicated years of service to foreign language education in Jamaica. We can safely and unreservedly refer to Errol as the godfather of Spanish education in Jamaica. He's our consultant, our go-to person. He has been referred to many times by Martha as the walking Bible of foreign languages. And on a personal, not just a professional note, but on a personal note, he's one of the most reliable, dependable, effective, efficient professionals and a dear person that we could ever come across. And so it is really a pleasure, as usual, to have him support us. And Errol, we thank you again. And so I'm just going to hand over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ramonia. Good afternoon, buenas tardes a todos. And I'd just like to say that for this session, I would like to be as brief as possible so that we can do more practice in our breakout rooms. So I'm going to go through and do this presentation as quickly as possible, hoping that you really get some tips on things to do and not to do during the oral exam. So firstly, we are going to look at the reading, because as you know, the paper this year, the oral paper consists only of reading and conversation. So our reading passage will focus on basically your pronunciation and fluency and intonation. So that is something that you must bear in mind while you read. All right? I especially want you to pay attention to this combination of sounds. When the G is followed by an I or an E, we know that we are going to pronounce that G or GI or GE as if we are pronouncing it in like a HI. So it's going to be he or he. That is important because CSEC always ensures that there are words in the passages with these combinations. So students do not get caught with this. The next thing I want you to focus on is to remember that H's in Spanish, that the H is silent. So you do not have to aspirate the H. So remember, it's hola, honor, and so on. No H sound for those words with beginning with H in Spanish. Remember how you pronounce your double L and also the double R. The double R, not so critical in terms of your pronouncing the R sound, which some people have difficulty in pronouncing, but you will need to pronounce the double L as in the word llamo, me llamo, or sometimes they say me llamo. So any pronunciation of the double L like that is acceptable. Also remember the letter J. For example, you know the word Jose. Let me spell it in English. It's Jose, the island, Jamaica. So you see how the J is to be pronounced. All right? Ensure that if you meet words with the J, that's how you pronounce it. And likewise, remember that the N with the tilde is pronounced as if an I follows it. So the subject, español, all right? So pronounce the N with the tilde as it ought to be pronounced. And you will be very much on your way to getting a very good mark in the reading. What I want you to look out for are cognates. These cognates fool students each year because these words basically are spelled, basically for the most part, just like the English word they probably represent in some cases. Yet they are pronounced differently. So the first one, general. See the GE sound coming back? General. Next one, idea. Don't be tricked and go and say idea because it looks the same like the English. You have to remember in the exam that you are in Spanish, so you're going to remember the a, e, o, u, the pronunciation of the vowels. And if you do that and remember the vowel pronunciation and apply them, you are going to get the words correct. Let's look at universidad. See, don't go and say universidad, it's universidad, and so on. So pay keen attention to the cognates while you are preparing your passage for reading. Your phrasing when you're reading the passage is very important. You have to really make sure you group the words so that when you're grouping it, what you are saying really makes sense. It's no use you leave the adjective off and put the nouns in a separately, because you will not really be phrasing correctly. And part of what you are marked for and your examiners will have to report to CSEC is how well the students did the phrasing in the actual exam. So pay attention to phrasing. Remember also this thing called synalefa. Basically, you're merging two syllables into one. All right, for example, you're not going to say una amiga. You're more going to say una amiga, una amiga. So when you see combinations like these, apply the synalefa as it is called. No olvides, instead of no olvides, no olvides. All right? I hope you're really getting that. All right? And very important is the whole thing of accentuation and stress. All right? Notice you must be able to put the stress where it ought to be. For example, one moment. For example, the word hablo and hablo are two words that, though the root is similar, they have two different meanings. Hablo, I speak, while hablo is the preterite form, which could mean he spoke and so on. So you need to ensure that where you're putting your stress, your emphasis, that it's in the correct place so that you bring across the correct meaning. I will not go through the marking scheme too much. I just want you to know that when you have read, you're going to be graded either as being outstanding, very good, good, moderate, limited, and unsatisfactory. But we know that all the students in this room, on this chat right now, none of you going below good. All right? So you will be doing very well in your reading. So we're moving on to the conversation section. Now, you are to ensure that you answer all the questions that you're asked. All right? If you attempt an answer which is not so correct, you are going to pick up some marks as long as it is relevant. All right? So if your answer is relevant, though you might have grammatical mistakes or so, you're going to pick up marks. So ensure that you answer all the questions. If you give answers that are totally irrelevant, then you are going to only get 0, even if it's perfect. All right? So it's no good to give a perfect answer that is not appropriate. All right? For example, if you're asked, ¿Dónde prefieres hacer las compras? ¿En el supermercado o en el mercado? For you to say, si hay un supermercado en mi comunidad, that would be totally inappropriate. And so you will get 0 for that. But if you go on to say, prefiero ir de compras en el supermercado, then you will get your marks. So your answer needs to be relevant to the question that was asked. All right? You ought to be clear in your response, and where you can, use your synonyms to make your answer richer. All right? Because one of the things that they're looking for in the overall performance of the students is the student's ability to use a wide range of vocabulary. And you're using your synonyms is one step in the positive for that. All right? When you're answering your questions, make sure you speak at a natural pace. Do not be too slow or too fast, okay? We want you to be fluent, and fluency, as you see in the third bullet, is not dictated by speed. So be natural in how you speak. And if you're natural and you answer correctly and so on, you will be one step ahead of those who don't follow that guide. Now, very important is for you to ensure that you use the appropriate tenses in your reply, all right? And not just the appropriate tenses, but you must use the correct forms of the verb, all right? Don't mix up the your form with the to form and the LA form and so on. And don't use the singular form of the verb when the subject is plural and so on. You must remember all of those. And you know it, because you have been doing this from you were in grade 7, basically. So you have been doing all of that. Also very important is your adjectives. And ensure that you place your adjectives in their correct positions. And also ensure that they agree with the nouns that they modify. Very important, all right? If the noun is singular, adjective is going to be singular. Noun is plural, plus if the noun is feminine, adjective will be feminine for those adjectives that can be made feminine and so on. So remember all those little things you did in grade 7 come right up. You are now applying them in the CXC exam to ensure that you really, really get the full marks. We encourage you also to try and use idiomatic expressions as much as possible. All right. You may not be able to if you don't have them in your vocabulary, but if you have any there and you can use it when you're asked question, if it's appropriate, go ahead and use it. All right. I put 3 examples there that you can select from if you want to use them, and use them, because those also gives the examiner the knowledge that you are probably different from another student who just answers the question without adding any little color with your idiomatic expressions. So they are very important. How quickly should I respond? That's a question students always ask. I say give your response as quickly as possible after the question is asked. It doesn't mean that you will not have a second or 2 pause for you to think, all right? But what you have to do, you have to buy some time to think, and you can use certain expressions, all right? For example, esta es una pregunta interesante. Supongo que debo decir, or déjeme ver, or pues, or some of those words that you would have learned. Use those to fill the time between the question and your answer so that you flow as smoothly as possible. Remember that most times there are certain questions that ask por qué no, or just say explica. You don't need to wait on the examiner to ask you por qué or por qué no, or say explica to you before saying the reason for your selecting the answer you would have selected. So go ahead and answer that question so they don't have to ask you that question again. Make it a true conversation. There are some students who in the exam, they really make it a true conversation because they decide to ask the examiner 1 or 2 questions. All right? It is up to you, students. If you're capable of doing that, do so. For example, examiner might ask you, ¿cuál es tu deporte favorito? And you respond to say, mi deporte favorito es football. Then you can go and say, y señor, ¿cuál es el suyo? So the examiner would reply. That also helps to tell the examiner that this student is one who is very good with the language. All right? Self-correcting. Self-correcting is allowed without penalty. All right? Especially when you're reading, if you say something, pronounce a word incorrect, just correct it and continue. You will not be penalized for that. All right? And this also gives the examiner some knowledge about you too, because for you to pick up that you made an error and correct it, that's a good trait. The length of answers. The answers do not necessarily have to be too long. All right? There are some questions where you're asked to describe and so on. We're expecting that when you're doing those descriptive answers to those questions, you say probably about 2 to 3 things about what you're asked. All right? There are some questions, it may be relevant for you to just answer with a short phrase. All right? But if you can use sentences all the while, I encourage you to do that. But don't be too long. Don't make your answers too long that you end up getting into problems in terms of vocabulary and so on. Just answer to the point and you're on the right track. All right? Sometimes you may ask the examiner to repeat But don't let this be a practice, because if you ask the examiner to repeat too often, it also says something about your understanding of the questions. And that's one of the other things that you're marked for, or well you understand the question and how quickly after you hear the question you can answer. So you may ask to repeat 1 or 2 times, but don't let it go too far. The types of questions you will get, you'll get a mixture of questions. Some will be easy, some will be moderate, and probably 1 or 2 will be a little hard. But you will be able to manage them, because you should not be getting all easy or all hard question. There's going to be a balance. So look out for that. So don't worry now, because there'll be questions there that you will be able to answer. And as usual, you know the 6 categories. I don't have to explain those to you, all right? I'm not going to go through the sample questions, because we'll be doing some questions in the breakout rooms, but I just want to point you towards some verbs, or some verbs that really give some problems. So remember that though salir and dehar mean to leave, they are used differently. Salir means to leave in terms of to leave somewhere or to go out, okay? For example, el autobús sale a las 10 de la mañana, all right? While dejar means to leave in terms of leaving something or even someone behind, all right? Dejé mis libros en el aula, all right? I left my books in the classroom. So pay attention to those verbs and don't mix them up, all right? These words also give some problems. I, había, abra, all right? Most people know the word I, meaning there is or there are. Había, there was, there were in the past. There's also hubo, but we won't touch that. And abra, when you want to say there will be, all right? So, for example, habrá una fiesta mañana. There will be a party tomorrow, all right? If it's something in the past, había mucho tráfico. Why did you come to school late today? Había mucho tráfico. There was lots of traffic on the road. All right, and I, you know, hay un problema, there's a problem, or hay muchos problemas. So be able to use those 3 words properly. A causa de versus porque, all right? Sometimes the student wants to say because of something else happened, and they end up saying something like porque de, all right? Remember to say because of or owing to, it's a causa de, all right? And porque is just because, all right? For example, mi amigo está triste porque perdió su dinero. My friend is sad because he lost his money. As opposed to, no fui al cine a causa del mal tiempo. I did not go to the movies because of the bad weather. All right? So don't mix up those 2 either. And so finally, remember that the examiner is just a teacher from your school. And the examiner is there to smile with you and make things better for you. So don't fear the examiner and do not panic. Thank you very much. It's back over to you, Ms.
Okay. Okay, Professor Horton. Oh, that was just short and spicy and full of a lot of awesome nuggets. Okay. All right. Muchas gracias, Professor. Horton, thank you so much, Errol. Errol would have given students, wasn't that amazing? I know that you received quite a number of reinforcements in such a very clear and comprehensive way. It was awesome. Right, they're saying gracias, señor. I like that. I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up and some great emojis in the chat. And I want to just ask if you have any questions, let us know. Are there any questions? Anybody has any questions for Senior Horton before we go into our breakout rooms?
For the second to last slide, there were 3 words, Abia, and the last one, Abba, H-A-B-A with the accent over the last A.
Abra.
Abra. Okay, thank you.
Abra.
There, and that means what does it mean?
There will be.
There will be. And that's different from like we say in the era, because it's future tense, right?
Right.
Okay.
So that's the direct future, not the near future like era.
Okay, direct, okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, muy bien. All right. Yes, we're going to be sending you these PowerPoints. Let me place again the evaluation link in the chat. Complete it. We can send it directly to you. And we are going to have to do, don't worry, guys, we will send them to you ASAP because we know that your exams start next week, Tuesday. Okay? So we will send it to you in a timely manner. All right. And I see Professor Errol, he just posted some tips for the oral exam. Amazing. That's the presentation, Profe?
Yes, that's it.
Excellent. Gracias, Profe. All right, guys, this is what I'm going to talk about, efficiency. Man. All right, I'm seeing some hands. I see Ronaldo.
All right, this question goes on to the second to last slide as well, with the Abia, I, and Abra. I want to talk about the Abia. So for Abia, is that there was and there were, right? But is that for imperfect? Right?
Yes, that was the imperfect. All right. There is also Uber, which I didn't touch.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. I was going to ask if Uber can be used as well for Petri.
Right.
Okay, gracias, Senor.
All right, my bright sparks, Ronaldo. Any other questions, Prashanti? Go ahead, Prashanti.
So let's say the question was, what is your favorite sport, right? And after I say which is my favorite sport, can I go and like continue and say the sports I dislike, or would it be too much?
No, that's perfect.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, man, that's perfect, and that will give you some nice props. I'm seeing Melora. Melora, go ahead with your question, and as soon as she's finished, Jakia, go ahead with yours.
Good afternoon. My question is, how many questions can you be asked from the conversation for each topic?
Okay, you're asked 4 from each topic, so 16 overall, because you'll get from 4 of the themes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question: if we don't if we don't immediately give or validate our answer, like if they ask us, what's your favorite sport? And we respond and say this is our favorite sport, and they don't ask us why, and they don't ask why as yet, and we don't immediately give a reason. Do we lose marks in some way? Or is it, or are
No,
you just
you-
recommending that we answer
you
as soon as
don't-
possible?
No, you won't lose marks if you're not asked. But what we're saying, we encourage students, if you can say why, just go ahead and say it. Because the more you answer and make additions to your answer which are relevant, it's the better your marks will be overall. Because remember, the conversation is not scored per question. It's your entire performance in the section that is scored. All right? So you're
Oh.
showing that you really understand Spanish, and you can say more than you're asked, but it has to be relevant to what was asked.
Oh, okay. Gracias.
Then,
All right, thank you. Thank you, Jakia. Jordan and Jaylene, go ahead, and then we're gonna reserve the rest of questions for when we return to our breakout room, from our breakout rooms. And then Professor Earl, in the meantime, there's a comment in the chat. Some comments that, is it true if you continue talking that they ask you less questions? And I'm seeing some responses saying yes, because of the upcoming question. If it was the upcoming question, it would be eliminated because you already stated it. Prof. Errol, you want to speak to this, please?
CXC's dictates is that the students are to be asked 16 questions. So you have to expect 16 questions. All right? You may have responded to a question that is on the paper, but remember, it's the examiner who selects the question. So the examiner might have wanted to select that question, but because you answer it, they might ask you another question that is on the paper. All right? So CXC regulations really demands that we ask 16 questions, and that's what we are aiming at.
Great, thank you, Prof. And Jordan and Jaylene, go ahead in that order, please.
So I was just asking, like, to clarify. So they said there was a main difference between using porque and a causa there. I thought they were just similar. It could use either one, but what was the main difference?
Okay, so if you want to say because of the rain, all right, then that would be a causa de. All right, and if you're just saying, you know, I went downtown because I wanted to go downtown, then that would be porque. All right, so when you're going to say because of, or due to, or owing to, it's a causa de, not porque de.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, good afternoon. So, sir, if the examiner asks you why, because, or explain or describe after they ask the original question, are those a part of the 16 questions, or they just add to the question?
Okay, what happened? You might have, let's say, question number 5. CXC might have, as part of question number 5, the porque or the porque no. So that would be considered as one question.
Okay,
all right?
thank you.
All right. Bueno, that's it. Okay. All right. So guys, let us let us go for our Professor Nerik, let's go for 75 minutes in the breakout, please, because we have to be off by exactly 5 o'clock.
75 minutes for the breakout room?
Sí, tiene que ser.
Okay.
Tiene que ser. Nia, I'm seeing your question. So while we go in the breakout room, so Profe, go right ahead and start the breakout rooms. Again, gracias, Errol. Thank you so much for this presentation. Very comprehensive, extremely comprehensive. Students, I know that you would have had clear responses. Feel free to ask further questions later on when you go in your breakout rooms or even when you return. And so until then, I will see you back here. There will be 2 facilitators who will remain here. Professor Jacqueline will remain here in the main room, as well as Professor Kimoy, who will be assisting her. I'm going to ask Professor Kimoy, La Beja Kimoy, to assist Professor Porter right here in the main room. And everybody else, we will go to the breakout rooms. All right. Professor Errol, sorry, Jacqueline, are you here?
Yes, I am. Can we go ahead now?
Yeah, man, feel free to begin.
Okay. I wasn't too sure whether or not all the assignments were done.
Yeah, man, go right
I was
ahead.
looking okay. Is Kimoy here? I'm not sure.
Sí, profe.
Okay. So we are all here. Let me take that off because I wasn't seeing that taken off. Okay. So let's get going. As we're told, this session is going to be where we bring everything together. So we're going to be looking at the questions so you can have time to practice. I see there are 40 of us here, which means that there are 36 students. So it's going to be your time to talk to us, to tell us what your issues are. Based on what you have heard over the this is our 4th session, 2 yesterday, 1 this morning. So we are to number 4. Are there any questions you like to ask? Any doubts you want to clear up? Let's free up the mind so you can pay attention to the practice itself. Anything you're not sure about, anything you're wondering about. We may not have the answers, but at least we'll get time to think about them, to make them very clear to you. Anybody has any issues they would want to have cleared up? Sterling, pronounce your first name for us, at least for me.
Monique, miss, but I didn't have any questions.
Okay, forget a question because I mean your name became center stage, so I thought you had a question. But it's pronounced Monique.
Yes, miss, Monique.
Okay, the first time I'm seeing that spelling. So. Okay, what if we don't answer most of the questions? We know that isn't going to happen. You have to answer the questions in order to get the marks, to be assigned the marks. You cannot be assigned the marks if you don't speak. You cannot be assigned the marks if you don't give information. So you have to answer the questions. Do as best as you can with the questions. Okay, so stop worrying about how many questions you are going to answer, because the point is you have to answer all of them. Give some kind of a response and make it as relevant as possible so that you can get the marks. How do you use the verb aber, as indicated by Professor Orton? The 3 tenses he outlined are the ones most often used. As someone said earlier in the chat, existential. You are saying something exists. There is, at the moment, existential. You can point it out, you can identify something exists. And aber generally functions in that way, for the truth is. And that's the present tense. Abia, past tense, because Abia is the imperfect tense of the verb aber. And then Abra would be, yes, Abia, Zamoy, Abia is the imperfect. And no, Abia is not the, it's not the, oh, can you explain how to use the imperfect subjunctive tense? Wow, that is going to take all afternoon. I'm going to post my number in the chat. Then you send me a message. And I remember seeing a site that explained it very, very nicely. I don't think I can trump that one. But however, the thing about but there are just few special uses of the imperfect subjunctive. Otherwise, you use it in the same situation that you will be using the present subjunctive generally, except that you're going to be talking about whatever it is in the past tense. Okay, but I will look for the information so that you can have it. Zoe, this is Spanish, not French. I'm not sure where the French happen to be, because I've been with the Spanish group for the entire thing. So I'm not even sure if there is a French for this afternoon, but this is definitely for Spanish. Sorry about that. Okay, if you look, Kimoy, Professor Kimoy has posted aside for the verb aber. So even if you can't read it right now, which I know you can, just click on it and it will open up and you can go back to it afterwards so that you're able to have that with it. Okay, so that's one way of giving you further details. Okay, we know that, Michael. And that's not a problem. We welcome all because we have the same struggle. So I'm going to still, even though Miss has given, because I promised for the imperfect, let me just put in my number. So if needs be, you can contact me. Oops, sorry, it's my switch. Because there are times when we need to really think about the information. Okay, so that's my number. I will look for the information. Let me just write it. You need imperfect subjunctive. I'm just making a note to myself that I can remember it. And the uses. One thing I must say, and one thing, then other Jamaican. One I will say, if you have a copy of Tercer Libro or Spanish for 2 years, the explanation in those books tend to be very excellent and more than adequate for what you want at the moment. Okay, so take a look at them and you'll be able to see the explanation in friendly terms. Okay, so let's move to the questions and we'll just go through a bit of them. And we're going to invite you to speak as much as possible. Don't wait to be called on, just jump in. and let's simulate our conversation. Professor Kimoy, could you project the question? Do you have the list of where we add them all in one file?
No, Profe.
No, Professor Kimoy, please put your email address in the chat so I can forward them to you. Gracias.
Gracias, Professor Ramon. Okay, in the meantime, let me see if I can find mine.
Excuse me, Miss.
Go ahead.
Are you going to read the question to us or show us on screen?
I'm going to project it at the beginning, and then we'll just ask the questions for the latter part of it. Okay?
Okay, Miss.
Because in the exam, you will not have access to the questions. Because of course, it's a test in the oral. So you are not going to be writing, and you won't have access to the question. But for the purpose of practice, we want you to see how the questions are structured. So I'm going to try and share my screen and see if oh yes, I do have them. Okay. So what are you seeing my screen? So that's first to be checked.
Sí, señorita.
Sí, profe.
Sí, señora.
Y podéis leerlo. Can you read it? It's big enough to be read?
Sí.
Sí, señora.
Okay. Now let's do a little bit of analysis. So once you start hearing the question, bear in mind what you have been told about the question. And not just answering sí or no, or not, and giving information. Let's take question 1. ¿Cuántas personas hay en tu familia? Let's hear you respond to that. As many of you as possible. Just open your mics and speak.
En mi familia hay 5 personas. Somos mi mamá, Julia, mi papá, Ricardo, mi hermano mayor, Pablo, y yo.
Bien.
En mi familia hay 4 personas. Mis padres, mi hermano menor y yo.
And I think that was Mikhail flash up. Come on, there are so many of us here. I said, let's not be stopping to ask persons to talk. Just say it. It's your exam.
Hay 6 personas en mi familia. Mis 2 hermanos, mis padres, mi hermanita y yo.
Hay 5 personas en mi familia. Somos mi mamá, mi papá, mi hermana menor, mi hermano menor y yo.
Could you say that again? I'm pretty sure I heard hermana menor twice.
Hay 5 personas en mi familia. Mi mamá, mi papá, mi hermano menor, mi hermana menor y yo.
Y yo. Always remember the I. Okay, muy bien.
Miss.
Sigue, Davion.
Miss, if you're going to say on myself, would it be I mismo or would it be I mismo?
That depends, just as though it would depend in English. Okay? If you're it's the same thing about subject and object. In the cases we have heard, it's yo, because we are saying we. Okay? We. The verb was somos. and we are part of that. So the I part of the we is going to be yo. There are times when including ourselves but we are not being included in terms of what it terms of subject pronoun, but rather it's an object pronoun. I can't think of an example now, but I know it exists. Then it will have to be something else. Okay, so be aware of your verbs because that's really what's covering it. And basically, if you're not the one acting on the verb, or I should say, as long as you are included as part of those owning the verb, acting on the verb directly, it's always going to be a yo. Otherwise, it's going to be, it can be yo mismo, generally yo mismo, sometimes it's me. It all depends. And there are certain phrases, of course, that, because when you're saying, if you're saying whether I also or me also, because it's depending on what the verb would have been following, in Spanish, it's always going to be a mí también. I mean, that's a set, what one could say, that's a set expression. Okay, because the phrasing is indirect. But let's use the language rather than discuss the language. Because it always seems better when we actually use it. So let's have a few more of you responding to that one. And let's hear about your family. Oh, before we continue, when quote unquote personal information is asked, somebody, I think, in one of the earlier sessions asked whether or not you have to tell the truth all the time. No. But we need you to be consistent with whatever the story you are spinning. Because remember, you have 4 questions from each category. And the questions are going to be, if you look as I'm scrolling down, you'll see that there is some consistency among the whole thing based on the theme. Okay? So you can't tell us that you have 5 brothers and sisters when we ask how many, and then when, say for instance, por lo general comen juntos con los miembros de tu familia, and you're going to say yes, all 15 of us eat together. When you told us, I mean that there were 12 of you maximum. Okay, so you, whatever the story it is, just be consistent with it. Because we have various reasons for not sharing all the entire truth all the time. So that we have to bear in mind as well. So let's have a few more persons. Say, let's have 3 more persons. Gender votes, there are 46 of you.
Professor, which question are we at?
We're still at number 1. And then we're going to move on. Just need 2 more persons for that. And we'll move on after that.
Hay 4 personas en mi familia. Mis padres y mis 2 hermanas.
Muy bien. ¿2 personas más?
Professor, could I go?
Sigue. Go ahead.
En mi familia hay 5 personas. Mi madre, mi padre, mi hermano mayor, mi abuela y yo.
Senorita,
See again?
since we already have said the members in our family, question 2 is irrelevant.
I'm not going to do question 2 because I've been hearing about the members of the family.
Okay.
Okay. Did you answer before?
Sí, señorita.
Okay. Now here's another one that also aims at the family members. Habla un poco de tu vida familiar. What do you think they're asking you for there?
For you to talk a little about your family life.
So what kind of information would you include?
Miss, like daily routine or what your family does on the
Okay.
weekends.
Okay.
How many
Parents work
persons?
and where your siblings go to school.
Yeah.
Okay.
As well.
What was that last part?
I was saying that you could talk about like chores and how they're split up in the family.
Exactly. Oh, the person who spoke, how do you pronounce your name?
Ray Anna.
Ray Anna. Okay, yes. So it's about what you do in your family. So your the chores, how do you spend time in your family? Because it's vida familiar. So it's what you do together as a family. So let's hear some of the responses you would possibly give for that.
Los domingos, mi familia y yo vamos a la iglesia. Después de cenamos juntos y a veces visitar mis abuelos en Clarendon.
Okay, remember, it's not just the first verb you have to conjugate.
Okay.
So try that again.
Los domingos, mi familia y yo visitamos, no, mi familia y yo vamos a la iglesia. Después de cenamos juntos y a veces visitamos mis abuelos en Clarendon.
Okay. Después de, always go, an infinitive always goes there. So después de cenar.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes. That's, yeah, después de always has an infinitive after it. So después de cenar. However, if you just say después and there is no de, you would have to conjugate the verb.
Okay, so después cenamos, después
Sí.
de cenar.
Sí, después
Juntos.
cenamos, and then, or después de cenar.
We got work, I mean.
Visitamos los otros miembros de la familia in Clarendon. So it's one set of the family going to visit another set. Okay, let's have 2 more persons responding to that and we can move to another topic.
Normalmente mi familia y yo miramos las películas durante la semana y los domingos limpiamos la casa.
Okay. Shaquilio, your U is too English. Remember what Miss Megu, were you here this for this morning session when Miss Megu spoke, Professor Megu spoke about the alphabet and the sounds?
Sí, señorita.
Okay, your U is a little bit too English. Okay?
Sí, señorita.
What I've been saying to the groups that I've been with so far is that you have your cell phones and you have the voice recorder on it. So what you need to do is to begin making use of that. Tape yourself, listen, then do it again and make your corrections. Don't erase, because you need to be confronted with your mistakes in order to do it. You can also tape yourself in Word, in PowerPoint. All of those are voice recording issues. Or that's really not the word. They're voice recording capabilities. And I said to the group I had this morning that there's the app Audacity. The last time I checked, it was still free. I haven't used it since I switched computers, so that's why I said the last time I checked. Audacity, and what Audacity does, it shows you your intonation in terms of the wave pattern, and that can help you to make corrections. So think about using those so that you can have them and to help you. You also have each other, okay? You also have each other. Many of you are from the same school. We're from the same Caribbean region. It doesn't have to always be someone within your country. You simply just need someone to practice. And I think most of us share the same time zone. If not, we may be about an hour or two behind or ahead of each other. So it's not that far out. We don't have any 6, 7, 8 hours dealing with. So we can more than come together as a region and help each other out. Okay. So let's now, as you look at the questions, because you were asking about the number of questions you asked, please know that there are similarities, at least looking at this, there are similarities in the question. So I said, okay, and with the point that was made earlier on and the question that Rihanna asked, ¿cuántas personas hay en tu familia? And you not only say somos 6, but you also say who the members are. It would no longer be necessary for the examiner to say quiénes son los miembros de tu familia, because that information would have been given. So your question would be one of the others. Probably, habla un poco de tu vida familiar, or ¿cuál es la profesión de tu papa? ¿Cuál es la profesión de tu mamá? Because as we say, it's a conversation. So you have spoken about the members of your family, you have named mommy, daddy, brother, sister. ¿Cuál es la profesión de tu mamá? ¿Cuál es la profesión de tu papá? No, let's say that, because that has some issues for many people. If you are asked a question and somebody just jump in, because this is something you should know by heart now, I hope. ¿Cuál es la profesión de tu mamá? ¿Quién va a responder? Who will answer?
Mi mamá es profesora.
Bien. Let's have a few others.
Mi madre es una doctora.
Okay, that E is being stretched too much. Mi madre, not mi madre. Mi madre. Remember the vowels have nice short brisk sounds. Okay?
Mi madre es una doctora.
Hold on, before you go on, what was the pattern you heard before? The last person who spoke, I didn't catch the name.
They said mama and they didn't use una, they didn't use una rather.
Exactly. In Spanish, with the verb ser, unless we're going to have an adjective describing, we don't use the article. Remember that. So if you say, mi mamá es una profesora, we're expecting to hear 1 or 2 adjectives come after that. That cannot be the fullness of it. Mi mamá es una profesora excelente. Mi mamá es una profesora muy trabajadora y excelente. But it can't just mean es una profesora. ¿Comprenden?
Sí.
Okay, so let's try that. Let's have a few of you responding so you can hear yourself doing the correct thing.
Mi madre es una abogado inteligente.
Muy bien.
Mi mamá es bombero.
Mi mamá es ingeniera.
Mi mamá es profesora de ciencias.
Laurel, you have a question?
No, senor, I was answering the question.
Oh, no, I just noticed that the hand signal was up for yours. Okay. And so that's why I wanted to look at that one, because there's always the mistake of putting the article without an adjective for it to carry the weight. As I remember one person telling me. And so, ¿qué haces en casa para ayudar con las tareas domésticas?
Me repite, por favor.
Número 8. ¿Qué haces en casa para ayudar con las tareas domésticas? Las tareas domésticas significa lo mismo como los quehaceres de la casa. It's the same phrase, same thing being referred to. Chores.
Yo limpio mi dormitorio y lavo los platos.
Lavo los platos. Bien. Rápido, rápido, rápido. Come on, gentle people, your responses are moving too slowly. The time is being eaten up with silence.
Limpio mi dormitorio.
Me preparo la comida y barro el suelo.
Okay, Kimiaka, do that again. Me is not a subject pronoun.
Repítate, por favor.
Me is not a subject pronoun. You said me preparo. Cannot go.
Senora said me.
Okay, let's hear, because what I heard was me. So say it in its entirety again.
Me preparo la comida y barro el suelo.
Barro, barro, barro.
Gracias, señora.
Okay, barro el suelo. Bien.
Perdón, profe.
Go ahead.
Wondering about me as opposed to yo.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm thinking that yo preparo la comida. ¿Qué le parece, profe?
Depende. Is she saying that she prepares it for herself or preparing it in general? I took it that she was saying that she prepared it. She prepared the meal for herself.
Okay, profe.
In which case it will be fine. But
entendido, profe.
And that's a question you can, the examiner could then ask you whether or not you don't share the meal with someone else. If you say me preparo, because that may is indicating you have made the verb preparar reflexive, and that is saying that you are the only one benefiting from the action. You're preparing it for yourself. So of course, no brother, no sister, no mommy, no daddy is going to eat it.
What was the question, profe?
¿Qué haces en casa para ayudar con las tareas domésticas?
Okay. All right, I suppose, but I'm not sure. Who was the student who spoke?
You'll have to
Okay.
identify yourself, student. I'm not.
Let me see, who is this now?
Kiamaka, I may have been pronouncing her name incorrectly.
Okay, is it that you want to say I prepare my breakfast for me? I prepare it for me?
No,
Or you
Senora,
just
I
want to
meant I
say
prepare it in general.
Oh,
you
then
prepare it in
okay,
general,
all
so
right.
it would be yo preparo. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
So yeah, so you
Gracias, Senora.
you use the yo. Oh, I think you are the one who had said me before and. Okay, so yes, you would just use the yo. Or you just simply say preparo. Because remember when we use the verb endings tell us who is speaking. And that's why we are very careful with them. Bien. Sigamos. Sigamos. Let's continue. Descriptions. Description. Describe a tu pariente favorito. O describe al miembro de tu familia que más te gusta. Describe a tu pariente favorito. Rápido, rápido, rápido.
Mi pariente favorita es mi mamá porque ella es muy trabajadora y chistosa.
Muy bien. ¿Alguien más?
Mi pariente favorito.
Pariente, pariente.
Mi pariente favorito es mi papá. Él es muy trabajadora, simpático, trabajador. Would it be Doro or Dora?
Dor.
Trabajador. Simpático. Muy amable. Y muy amable.
Okay, do that all at once now, smoothly.
Mi pariente favorito es mi papá. Él es trabajador, muy simpático y amable. I forgot.
No, that's fine because you get it correct. Okay.
Okay.
Be very careful with your adjectives. Do not assign the feminine form of an adjective to somebody male or assign the masculine form to female, okay? Those carry other things that we shall not get into here. There's another one that requires description. And you'll know, one of the things you'll notice, especially if you have ever bought the book of past papers that gives you the questions, you'll notice that almost in every category you're asked to describe. So you really can't get away from your adjectives, okay?
Sí.
Sí.
Describe un día típico escolar. Sí, mi mamá es niñera. Rápido.
Profe, repita, por favor.
Describe un día típico escolar. Okay, since you're so hesitant and we know we can't have dead silences in the exam, And you have to answer each. What do you think the question is asking you for?
A typical day.
Very typical school
Yeah, but what
day.
kind of information? What will be involved in your typical school day?
What time your classes
schedule,
start? Yeah, what time your classes start?
Schedule, times of classes, the activities you participate in. So please answer as if you know what it's asking. Give it a try. Inténtalo. Voluntario, voluntaria. ¿Quién va a ofrecerse?
Mi escuela empieza a las 7:30 y tengo clases hasta lo siento.
Bianca, try it again. Inténtalo otra vez.
Normalmente nosotros tenemos almuerzo a las 8:30.
You know, it's your typical school day you're describing. So you have to give us some information, some more information, so we have an idea of the school day, or at least a part of it. What do you normally do at school?
Miss, can I try?
Sure.
Normalmente, la devoción comienza a las 8 de la mañana, después de tener clases. Luego como almuerzo al mediodía y me voy a casa a los 2 en el tarde.
Do we say el tarde? That's something you can correct. What is it? El or la tarde? Ladies and gentlemen.
La tarde.
La tarde. La tarde, bien. La tarde. Be careful of your stem change in verbs. Get those pronunciation correct. So it's comienzo, empiezo.
Normalmente asisto a mis clases, como mi almuerzo y charlo con mis amigos.
Bien. Otro más, otro. ¿Alguien más? ¿Alguien más?
Adelante, por favor.
Normalmente mis aulas comienzan a las 8:15. Después yo como almuerzo a las 12:30 con mis amigas y salgo mi casa a las 12:30. 2:30.
Salgo para la casa a las 12:30. So you only eat at school. You don't tell us about what classes you have. On a question like this, anything that asks you about your school day, about your subject, you need to give us some idea. So it doesn't make it look like you only go to school to eat or to play or just be with your friends. We know those are important points, but it's also aimed at getting you to say something about the classes you do. So try and name 1 or 2 subjects you have in the block of time. Okay.
Okay, Miss.
¿Qué haces cuando no recibes buenas notas? Who's going to take that one for us? ¿Qué haces cuando no recibes buenas notas?
Repita, por favor, señorita.
¿Qué haces cuando no recibes buenas notas?
Is it asking what do you do when you don't receive good news?
Notas, notas.
Good grades.
Right, good grades. Good grades, good marks. Remember the context, okay? Good grades, good marks. So, ¿quién va a responder? Who's going to answer?
Por general, lloro y estudio más duro para el próximo examen.
El próximo, that has an accent.
Próximo examen.
Examen, bien. Siento muy triste. Chimiaka, triste. You have a S on triste, but you're only talking about yourself. So, siento muy triste, or me siento, me siento muy triste. Because in that case, you'd use sentirse in the reflexive form. Me siento muy triste.
Miss, can you say yo probio más? I try harder. Yo pruebo más.
Yo pruebo más, or sí, yo pruebo más. Muy bien, Chimeaco. Shanice, I hope I got your name pronounced. Usualmente yo estudio más. A menudo. Normally, if you use usualmente, you would use a menudo. And in this case, it would be best that you use usualmente. Usualmente, normalmente, me estudio más. Muy bien, Rishana. Yo estudio para hacer mejor. Desire, me motivo para hacer lo mejor. Desire, mejor. Próxima vez. Not there. Próxima vez. Próxima vez. Good to have you, Keziah. Próxima vez. You are there. Okay? It's próxima vez. Kimoy.
Sí.
Professor Kimoy, don't make me feel so alone. Say something. Your turn. The rest of the session is yours.
Vale. Okay, so I'll ask another question. ¿En qué actividades participas? ¿Alguien quiere como responder?
Yo participo en el club de las matemáticas.
Club.
Oh, el club de las matemáticas, is that correct?
Tiene que club de mates. Club de las matemáticas, club de mates, yeah? Wow, you're a maths genius.
Sí.
I need your contact information, so you better send it to me. So that's when I'm struggling with maths, I can come and.
No, miss, I'm
Ah.
not. Just use it.
Because Rihanna said, cuando no recibo buenas notas, le pido ayuda a un amigo. So you're going to be my amigo for crying together for maths or whatever else we can cry together about. Okay. Sigue, profesor Kemoy.
Sí, profe, ¿alguien más?
¿Otra vez?
Yo voy a repetir la cuestión. ¿En qué actividades participas?
Okay.
Adelante, por favor.
Rápido, rápido, rápido.
Yo participo en torneos de natación y celebro reuniones de cadetes.
Okay, where you have your emphasis is incorrect. Your stress is incorrect. It's participo. Okay, participo. You're talking somebody else. You're talking about somebody else because that now becomes a past tense. And the verb is celebrar. It doesn't experience any changes, so it's celebro. Okay.
Okay.
Club de Rishana. Yo participo en Rishana. Yo participo en el club de español y el club de fútbol. Open the mics and speak. People, open the mics and speak.
Yo participo en netball en mi escuela.
En el netball. Bien.
Okay, one more person and we'll ask another question.
Yo participo en el Atlético.
Muy bien. Okay, vale.
No, that should be el atletismo. Atletico would be the person, atletismo. The sport is known as atletismo.
Okay.
So I need to look up some sports thing.
Profe, do I need to change to daily routine or continue?
Yes, go ahead. Oh, you want me to go down to daily routine? Any of these or keep advancing? Tell me. I forgot I was the one sharing screen, not you. So I'm waiting on you to change.
Okay. So can you scroll on a few more, please?
Okay. Just tell me when to stop. Oh?
Okay, you can stop right now. Okay, bueno. ¿Qué prefieres hacer? ¿Cocinar o limpiar la casa y por qué? ¿Alguien quiere como responder?
Repite, por favor. No oír.
Ok, vale. ¿Qué prefieres hacer? ¿Cocinar o limpiar la casa? ¿Y por qué?
Yo prefiero cocinar porque me gusta cocinar. ¿Quién sabe?
Sí, continúe.
Yo prefiero cocinar porque es más fácil.
Okay, instead of saying cocinar, say cocinar. You have to like really get the R in. Me gusta cocinar. ¿Alguien más?
Yo prefiero limpiar la casa porque como es una terapia.
Ok, muy bien. ¿Y alguien más?
¿Puede
Adelante,
repetir
por
las
favor.
preguntas, por favor?
Vale, es la cuestión 15. ¿Qué te prefieres hacer? ¿Cocinar o limpiar la casa? ¿Y por qué?
Yo prefiero cocinar porque tiene lo siento.
Okay, so you can think about it and then repeat.
Yo prefiero limpiar la casa porque me la encanta.
Repeat the last part. Okay.
I'm not sure if it's correct, but would it be me la encanta?
Me encanta.
Me encanta.
Okay.
Okay, I remember a young man who wants to give his response. Are you ready?
Sí.
Okay, go ahead.
Yo prefiero cocinar porque tiene menos tiempo.
Okay, vale. Okay, Max.
Davian, you said tiene menos tiempo. What's the subject of tiene?
Es.
No, es is another verb by itself, so it can't be subject. What? I think you're saying it takes less time. Is that what
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
saying? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
It's better you use requiere. Requiere. It requires less time. Requiere menos tiempo. To make your meaning clearer.
Miss, I'm not familiar with that verb.
Okay.
Can you repeat that verb for me, please?
The verb is requerir. 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 You know querer? Requerir.
I'm
So
familiar.
requiere menos tiempo. Because tener wouldn't fit there.
You want to say it takes less time?
It takes less time. Wouldn't it be requiere menos tiempo?
Yes, they could say requiere or they could say they could use tomar as well to take less time.
That's the
Toma
other one I
as
was
well.
trying to come up with. Me toma menos tiempo.
Right, because tomar is a little bit easier for you guys to pronounce. I'm putting the verb there.
Right.
Miss, it was tomar. It was toma I intended to use instead of tiene.
Okay.
Nice. So big up yourself then.
All right.
Well done.
So you just repeat it with tomar to get your marks or to get your full marks. Okay. Because remember what we have been emphasizing. Once you correct yourself, you're home free. Okay. Because you can't be marked for what you don't give us. So once you correct yourself, you're home free. So
Profe, faltamos 8 minutos.
Okay. So, requiere comes to mind because it's just a phrase I learned. Requiere menos tiempo, requiere más tiempo. It was an old phrase. Okay, sports and recreation.
Miss.
Go ahead.
Miss, I'm supposed to answer a question incorrectly, like completely incorrect, and then you stop and you correct it, and it incorrect again, and you stop and you correct it. Will you lose my?
As long as you have the time to do the correction, once you get it correct, you would have your marks. Isn't that so, Ramonia?
Yes, you can correct yourself, you can auto-correct.
Right.
But, just try to do it right away.
Oh, yes, that's what I was going to ask you, Miss. What if you realize after, like, they ask you the question and you answer it incorrectly and then move to another one and you realize that after?
That might be left up to the discretion of the examiner, but I think you would be in a better position if you, I mean, you could still take the chance if you genuinely realize, but, and if your time is not up, right? But I think you should just try to correct yourself as much as you can right afterwards, you know, as soon as you, yeah.
Okay, Miss, I saw, before you move on, I saw a word there while you were scrolling. It's paella. ¿Qué significa?
No, you have to tell me where it was.
Número 17.
Paella.
Yes.
That's a dish. It's a sort of seafood dish.
Okay.
You know how we do one pot cooking, where we'll put a variety of things in the same pot and have it as one meal?
It's like,
okay.
like seasoned rice.
Seasoned rice, one pot stew, all of that. But this has rice as the base, and they generally throw seafood or little pieces of meat in it. It's a Spanish dish. You can look it up.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Excuse me, Miss, is it possible that we could get this the questions or no?
Professor Ramonia?
Sure, we can send them to you guys. Sure, we can definitely do that.
Okay, thank you.
Make sure you fill out the evaluation links and put your right email address. So, yeah.
Keziah, your hand is up. You have a question. Ask. Keziah?
Miss, I was going to read the question we were just on.
Okay, go ahead.
Yo prefiero cocinar porque es divertido, creativo y me encanta.
Remember, look at the pattern of the questions. After prefereres, the verb would go in the infinitive. So say that again.
Miss, repeat.
After the prefer, after you use the verb prefer, the verb would go in the infinitive. You said prefer or cocino, but it should be prefiero cocinar. You understand what I'm saying, Keziah?
Yes, Miss.
Okay. It's an interesting one as we are about to close out in terms of time. ¿Cuál es mejor? ¿Estudiar o jugar? ¿Por qué?
Jugar es mejor porque es más divertida que estudiar.
Shakira, that's something if you were asking us rather than telling us.
Oh, okay, so. Jugar es mejor porque es más divertida que...
Divertido. Your verbs are always masculine.
Más divertido que estudiar.
¿Alguien más?
Estudiar porque puedes obtener más información.
¿Puedes? Repeat. Can repeat.
Estudiar porque puedes obtener más información.
Puede obtener más información. Se pueden obtener más información. Bien. ¿Qué país hispano te gustaría visitar?
Repita, por favor.
¿Qué país hispano te gustaría visitar?
Me gustaría visitar México porque me gusta la comida.
¿Puedo repetir, por favor? Can you repeat?
Oh, me gustaría visitar México porque me gusta la comida.
Okay.
Me gustaría visitar Argentina porque me encanta su cultura.
También me gustaría visitar México porque tiene una cultura rica y los playas son muy hermosas.
Me gustaría visitar Panamá porque tiene muchas actividades.
Me gustaría visitar Cuba porque lo parece divertido.
Muy bien. ¿Alguien más?
I think that should be El País es divertido rather than Lo País divertido. Okay, persons are going to be coming back. You have my number in the chat. Professor Kimmoy, thank you very much for your assistance while I was struggling not to cough. You have my number in the chat. Reach out as we make this journey. Make yourself proud, make us proud. Those of you who have been with me before, you know, I have constituted the WhatsApp group to help you go through the phase. And I'm asking you all to spread the word that at St. Joseph Teachers College, where I'm a proud member of that community, we have a major in language arts, a minor in Spanish. So please get those good grades for language, all your languages and literatures, and apply for September. And let's come and have fun playing games with the languages. Okay, I tell people you should have fun playing games with languages. It's really fun. Okay, so you learn about all your different theories and spread the word, encourage each other and get each other's numbers so that you can keep in touch. Okay, so you can keep in touch and encourage each other and help each other out. Because I'm sure you're studying more than just Spanish. Okay, and as was requested and you were told, make sure you fill out the evaluation forms. Okay, make sure you fill out the evaluation forms, which the email address that is you check on a regular basis. So don't give us one that you would never check. Give us one that you check on a daily basis. You know, the one you open the first thing in the morning while you're at the table eating, the last thing at night. That's the one we need to make sure you have. And then, of course, any one of you who want assistance, you have my number, drop in. I'll put you in the group that I have, and then I'll make your corrections. Go ahead.
Someone asked for your number again.
Okay. Okay, well, let's see if the fingers can do it. Okay. Since we are not all in the same country, let me start with the code. I learned this morning that the entire Caribbean does not have the same 876 code anymore. So you see, if I didn't meet all my Caribbean sisters and brothers, I would not have that information. So, felicitamos a nosotros, nos felicitamos. Let us applause us. That's how we say big up. Or palmadas. So let's see you big up yourself. Use that reaction, the clapping. Let's have you do that for yourself.
Awesome. I'm seeing the reactions, Professor Jackie. All right, Prophet, were you finished?
Yes, we are. Because I think you signal that everybody's to come back now.
They've been back.
Right. Well, okay,
Yeah,
breakout room 1. Show them how we do it. Big up ourselves. Applause us.
Okay, bueno, pues, aplauso para todos. Para todos los salones, todos los estudiantes y todos los maestros, los profesores. Usuna Scarlett is asking for the number. It was placed in the chat already. So you could just place it again, Professor Jacqueline.
I'll do that. They're making sure I know my number, you know, so I have
I
to
know,
do it.
I realize.
I
So,
cannot, after this, ask anybody what my number is.
Exacto. Pues. Well, students, everyone, we are back in the main room and we're closing down. We're pausing because we're going to be coming back to these sessions in a couple of weeks as we look at the revision for papers 2 and papers 1 and 2. So this is not the end of these sessions, it's just a pause. I want to say big up, muchas felicidades a todos los estudiantes que están aquí. You know, going from room to room, I'm realizing how much your heart is in it. For most of you, you know, who are participating a lot. And that is good because the best way to really get it is to do it, you know. And also, of course, my boss team of facilitators and assistant facilitators, you know that I cannot thank you enough. There are no words really. The sacrifice, some of you have done all 4 sessions. Some of you have been here, even if you're not facilitating a session, you have been supporting the sessions for the 2 days. And I am really, on behalf of the Ministry of Education and Youth, I want to say heartiest commendations to you all, colleagues, for this. Thank you ever so much for your passion, for your interest, for your hard work, you know, and just for the love you have for the students. Students, you see how we come out strong for you guys? I know that next week you're gonna go into those exams, you see? And you're going to really do us proud. You're gonna make us proud. And we're gonna hear great stuff about you, you know? So I'm just going to, before we close off the session, I'm going to just open the floor. If there's any facilitator or if there's any student who'd want to say something, whatever it is, something that you learned or anything at all, please go right ahead before we close off the session. And I'm putting again in the chat the evaluation link for you to complete.
Sí se puede.
¡Hey! ¡Sí se puede!
Sí se
¡Claro que
puede.
sí! Eso. Very nice. Very nice. Who said that? Sherry?
Sí, señora.
Ah, yes. And Sherry, you really tried. You really tried today. I'm so proud of you, students. Can I tell you? Yeah, man. Proud of you. Proud of you. Anybody else?
Dr.
I'm seeing, yeah, I'm seeing Dr. Tara's hand.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Well, for me, I just wanted to say that I learned a lot in terms of the different rules coming from the where we learned the vowels, the N and the S on Wednesday, to today where I learned about the different sounds and the different pronunciations, and I went through oral questions, and I feel like I'm definitely improving because I've moved from a stage of just answering the question to putting in like little filler words, to like putting in little filler words and conjunctions and those stuff to it. So I want to say big up to all teachers who came. Despite the many challenges that they face, they could have papers to mark, or there are many problems that they're facing in life that we students may not understand at times. I just want to thank them for coming and for helping us and boosting us for oral exams.
Wow, how profound is that coming from a student? Thank you so much, Dr. That what you said about the teachers is very profound. And I'm sure our teachers here really appreciate that. I think the most fulfilling thing for a teacher is to hear these things coming from a student. I can tell you that. And so thank you for saying that. Yes, thank you. And I'm so happy that you're more confident, very happy. I'm seeing some comments in the chat. I want to say thanks for these amazing sessions. Davian is saying that they were far more than I could ever expect. It's a surprise to me how much you guys have taught in just 4 sessions, and I'm forever grateful. Muchas gracias, profesores, y buena suerte, amigos. All right, Davian. Awesome. Thank you for this feedback. And I'm seeing a lot of persons loving your comment. You're really speaking on behalf of the students, and I can tell you the best way you guys can thank us is going out there next week and the following week and just really bringing it, representing, putting into practice everything you learned, and especially, just as we have been saying, reassuring you, telling yourself, you got this, giving it your best. Si se puede. Si se puede. I bet you want someone end up say si se puede in the exam and I'll find a way to get it in.
Why not?
Yes. Professor Dave, our boss motivator, is saying, boss cheerleader this, I can tell you that. Go out there next week and be brand ambassadors for Spanish. I love that.
I love that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, man. I really love that. Nathan, you're saying the session made me realize that this isn't impossible. Absolutely. Absolutely, Nathan. Keziah says it helped me a lot to improve my speaking fluently in Spanish. Oh, wow. And Judain says, Judain has a question. ¿Cómo se dice my favorite TV show? Anybody wants to take that? You could. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Professor Jackie.
Actually, that wasn't me, but my favorite TV show. Oops, I just draw a blank.
You could just simply send me programa
Mi show favorito.
Programa
Mi show favorito. That's okay.
Exacto.
Sorry, I'm hearing show and I'm hearing program. Show is a.
Yeah, let me explain that to everybody. Well, show has become a borrowing from English into the Spanish speaking person. So if you say show, that's okay. No, everybody will understand as well. But yes, you can say as well programa. Yes, no problem.
Right. Gracias, Professor Miriam.
Yeah.
And
Gracias.
I would also yes, it has become a board word, and if you want to be on the safe side, you could also say programmer, and that is cognate, and that's easy to remember as well. So you're good either way. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, you can even say programa favorito. I mean, programa televisivo favorito. Mi programa televisivo favorito es, yeah.
I would prefer that Ramonia.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Errol. Go ahead.
Failing some examiner not up to date with
the
show being
show.
accepted and so on.
Okay. And also, I mean, take your cues from the questions, because you can always use back the main thing in the question, rephrase the question to begin your answer. That is always tried true and very acceptable in any situation. So you'd have been given the term within the question.
All right. Okay. Let me see, we're having some, there's some more questions in the chat. I was seeing a question about por versus para. I'm gonna throw that back out to any student who wants to take that before I even call on my facilitators or anybody else, because both mean for. Go ahead. All right, nobody wants to take that one. I could, let me just do this quickly. And students, remember that you can always do your research. Let me try sharing my screen. There's something that I find very simple. And this is Duolingo, by the way. This caricature should look familiar to those of you who have this app. This is really a summary, but you could just look at this for when you use for, you talk about duration, reason, exchange, action, means, you know, and para, talking about the purpose for something.
Hello.
The effect, employment, conclusion, towards, I'm going towards Kingston, I'm going towards my home, etc. Is okay, let me just put this here. I'm gonna put this link in the chat. All right, guys? Because I find this very, very, very comprehensive, and they have examples and stuff. All right. We're kind of rushing because we should be off the platform. I'm seeing some more comments. Thank you, students, for your feedback. India says it was a very good session. My confidence in answering questions has increased between yesterday's sessions and today's. Muchísimas gracias a todos los profesores. Usuario Scarlett says in Spanish, wow, esta sección o sesión me ayudó mucho con mi habilidad de hablar y pensar, y estoy eternamente agradecido. Wow. Teachers, you see how she's showing over Spanish.
Wow, that's a 1.
Yeah, man. And Shanade alludes to the fact that she's more confident, she's less nervous. Awesome.
We had a successful session. When our students can say these things, recognize that the change they've made, we have had success.
Absolutely.
We're so grateful for expressing it.
I concur. We give thanks for the feedback, students. Feel free to write the same in the evaluation link, because we're going to use that data to move forward, right? We're going to use that data to move forward. So please do that. So again, brand ambassadors for Spanish, go out there and make us proud. May the Lord go with you and cover you. Just know that everything happening in your life now was already designed before you even got here. So just walk in your purpose. And yes, oh Lord, now you're gonna make me cry. Prashanti says, somos extraordinarios. Lovely. Sí, somos. And thanks again to my facilitators. You are amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And so I'm going to close out this session. Students, listen out for For the rest of the sessions you'll be having, you will hear about this from your Spanish teachers or from your friends. It will be out there. Don't worry about it. We will let you know. All right. So we know Spanish paper 2 is going to be May 15th. And Spanish paper 1 is May 15th and paper 2 is May 22. So before that time, we're going to have at least one session for each paper. So listen out, okay, guys? And nos vemos.
Excuse-me, Profe.
Sí, Profe, Shaniege.
Okay, I was asking permission to share with the students my YouTube channel link where they can actually practice content from the NSC curriculum.
Perdón, profe, no sabía de tu canal. Claro, adelante. ¿Puedes ponerlo en el chat?
Sí, okay, gracias. Okay, students, I'm going to type a YouTube channel link into the chat. You can go onto it. There's a lot of Spanish content there for you.
Profe, this is news to Ramona. I would have included all this in my list of resources. So I'm going to just do that moving forward. Thank you for letting us know.
Sí, Professora.
We need all of us who have YouTube channels, good sites, to send them to Ramona because we need to have them included in the cyber guide. Okay? We can't be keeping it
Thanks
secret.
for that. Yeah, thanks for
We
that,
need to have them
Jackie.
included in the cyber guide.
Apreciado, profe. Gracias.
De nada.
Okay. Mis embajadores de español, de la lengua español. Española. Nos vemos. Nos vemos. Adiós.
Nos vemos.
Adiós.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego. Buena suerte.
Hasta pronto.
Adiós,
Éxitos.
Hasta pronto.
Hasta luego. Hasta luego. Mil gracias. Hasta luego, profesor.
A ustedes.
Hasta luego.
Hasta
Adiós. Adiós.
Adiós, señorita.
Adiós. Hasta luego.
Escuché en una ocasión de alguien que me decía que si pensaba intentarlo yo jamás lo lograría, que soñar era de ricos y para qué conexiones tiene, pero yo sé que se puede. Yo miré hacia el futuro y el pasado lo borré, y a los que me hicieron daño también los perdoné. Hay un sueño por cumplir y jamás me detendré, porque yo sé que se puede. Sí se puede, sí se puede. Deja que lo malo al viento se lo lleve, que el amor de Dios tu corazón lo lleve. Con la ayuda del Creador todo se puede. Sí se puede, sí se puede. Deja que lo malo al viento se lo lleve, que el amor de Dios tu corazón lo llene. Con la ayuda del Creador todo se puede.
Sí se puede, claro que se puede, y el que diga lo contrario será mejor que se aleje. Cruzado de brazos, jamás tú te quedes. Créele al de arriba, trabaja y no te dejes frustrar. Dile adiós al desánimo y la vagancia. Esfuérzate con valentía y perseverancia. No hay nada imposible para aquel que cree, y verás tu sueño realidad como yo lo logré. Las tormentas de la vida de seguro que vendrán. Para todo hay salida y un rayo de sol saldrá. Sé fuerte, no te me quites, fuerza del cielo tendrás. Canta conmigo y repite, si se puede, ya verás.
Sí se puede. Deja que lo malo al viento se lo lleve, que el amor de Dios tu corazón lo lleve. Con la ayuda del Creador todo se puede. Sí se puede, sí se puede. Deja que lo malo al viento se lo lleve, que el amor de Dios tu corazón lo lleve.
se puede, claro que se puede. Sé fuerte y lo lograrás. Con fe las cosas suceden, no te me quedes atrás. Comentarios negativos, no le preste oído y sin parar sigue hacia adelante. Eso que anhelas y perseveras llegará en cualquier instante. Dilo conmigo, sí se puede. No te quites, sí se puede. Vamos pa' encima, sí se puede. Claro que sí, sí se puede. Dilo conmigo, sí se puede. No te quites, sí se puede. Vamos pa' encima, sí se puede. Claro que sí,
Sí se puede, sí se puede. Deja que lo malo al viento se lo lleve. Que el amor de Dios tu corazón lo llene. Con la ayuda del Creador todo se puede. Sí se puede, sí se puede. Deja que lo malo al viento se lo lleve. Que el amor de Dios tu corazón lo llene. Con la ayuda del Creador todo se puede.
En la vida siempre va a haber gente que te va a decir que no se puede. Pero ¿sabes qué? Escucha, claro que se puede. Ya, Manny Montes, Alex Zurdo, Línea de Fuego, Chuelo, Caldetronic y los legendarios.
Adiós.
Adiós, profesora.
Adiós.